Okay, so we are at the end, okay? I'm gonna show you guys how to sew your last board on. So what you'll notice is I've done, attached to my final signature to the text block, okay? On the inside, you'll notice that all the threads are coming through, but I haven't yet crossed them over in between sections, okay? So that will be the first step. I will do a crossover just like we have been doing. And I will do that for each of the double sewing stations. Your book, if you used alternating threads, should look fairly similar to mine, with that illusion of almost French braid. Now, some of the things that you might see if it's different are if you don't have consistent tension when you pull and sew, sometimes that causes some inconsistency in the braiding that appears. Also, if you don't keep a consistent pattern, you know, so if, say, here I always went from the left side to the right side with my needle, but if you didn't keep a consistency, you'll notice that there is a visual change in your braiding pattern. That's not to say it won't be functional or structurally, you know, in good condition. It just won't have the same aesthetic look. And I'm almost done here, and then we will add our board. So I'm just alternating these threads. Final needle. And you will see inside now we have the alternating colors kind of doubling. I'm going to just make sure everything is pulled tight. I always pull my threads in the direction that I have sewn in. And now that looks good, okay? So we are going to do our add-on, okay? So I'm going to take my final board and I'm going to line it up. I am going to start in row F simply because it's closest to me, but it really doesn't matter where you start. So I've come out, okay? I'm going to come take my needle up to the top. And you will see that thread. I'm actually going to move this thread. I want to stay on the outside. So just like I was always with each of F starting on the right side and going left, I'm going to try to keep that same rhythm there. So the mint green thread will come over, and this is where having a little flexibility still with this, doing all these at once is helpful. So I'll pull that over. Okay. And I'm going to do this with all of them. So with hole D, I'm going to have this needle come out and stay to the right. If I can manage that. And I'm not pulling anything too tight yet. You will notice, because I need some movement on this final board, which is why I like to do all the needles at once. If you sew all the way up before attaching, and then attach the board and then start again in a new kind of pairing, it can be very difficult to kind of have everything move the way you want it to move. And then my final one, okay. So now that I have them all through, I'm gonna pull it tight. Each one, okay. Making sure my boards are lined up one on top of the other. I might move it over just a hair. Okay. I'm gonna place my weight on, that way I don't have to hold it. Now you may remember that when we started this, we created a bead, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing. So with F, right now my thread is on the right side, so I'm going to wrap that needle through. So it's getting wrapped all the way around, and that will create a bead. I'm gonna, with the green, I'm on the left side, so I'm gonna slide that needle in between the final signature and the board to do a full wraparound to create that bead there, and that helps keep everything in place. I have a couple needles that are tangled. So now I'm going to go to A. I'm on the left side, so I'm going to take my needle to the right side. And I'm going to wrap that around. Set the needle aside. With hole B, I'm currently on the right side. So I'm going to take the thread over to the left side, wrap the needle around, and create that. You'll see there's a little bead right there. Hole C, I'm on the left side. I'm going to slide that needle in between the board and the final signature, going from right to left. Set that aside. And then the final one, so then you should have a little bead for each of those, okay? We're not quite done yet, okay? So now I'm going to take my thread for hole F. I'm going to remove this, and I am going to carefully open up my book to the center of that first signature. I'm going to try to do it without moving it too much, okay? And I am going to slide the needle in back into that signature that it came out of, so that will be the center of the last signature. That's actually, I'm going to take that out. Actually, I am going to do something a little different before I do that. In order to keep my pattern, I'm actually going to take that needle and slide it through to get that interlocking, because you'll notice right here at the top that it's a little simpler right here. So I'm going to do that braiding, and then in the same way I had before, and then I'm going to slide it into the center. I've just got to get it inside the center of that final signature. Okay. And then you can pull your needle through. It's always a little tricky to keep everything tight when you're doing your board attachment. Okay, so starting on the left side, going to the right, and then going back into the center. Keep missing the center. There we go. Set those needles aside. Okay. I'm picking up my needle for hole D, going from right to left, sliding my needle through those two signatures. So the same pattern that we had before, and then I'm going to slide it back into, I'm trying to find that center. There we go. Pull that thread all the way through. I'm going to take my mint for C, take the needle, slide it in between. And then slide that back in to the center of that final signature again. Okay, you are almost done. Let me pull that all the way through. For hole